Good morning, good afternoon, happy Friday. The meme stocks are back. Open Doors going crazy. OPAD is going crazy after this mortgage hype overnight with this $200 billion news of these mortgage bond investments. And so we had OPEN, OPAD going crazy today. Of course, on last night's watch list, the top stock was OPAD, and it ended up being the one stock that I was able to make a good chunk of money today on. Nothing else really happened. So the top stock today reigned the top stock, the winner on OPAD today. We're going to break it all down step by step, how I did it and why I traded the way that I did. I've got 1, 2, 3 profitable trades on it this morning. They were traded quite well. And, it was a Friday today. Definitely felt like a Friday today. Let's go and break it all down step by step and see what I played today and why I played it. So, starting in the pre-market, I was watching a few things going in the market open. I'll go ahead and pull it up here. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stocks in market open. GP, CETX, PAVS, AMIX, and OPAD. And now, unfortunately, going in the market open today, and we've really seen this all week this week, is that theme is all over the place. Came into the week initially, we had an oil theme. Then we had the Greenland rare earth theme. Then we had like a drone theme. Now today we have a mortgage stock theme. It's just pick something for a couple days and let's get some longer lasting opportunities. And I'm watching GP in the market open. Watching it over 137 for the break of this high, or the pivot over this high, excuse me, where I'm looking to see if this wants to put in place sort of a range, and it puts in place a range all right. And this thing just trades sideways all morning. This thing just trades sideways all morning, and I'm wanting to watch it for pullbacks back off of this VWAP area. Now, what happens here at market open that causes me to just take this off my radar for the whole morning is it tries to get breaking out here at market open rather than pulling back and putting in place a nice range. It tries to break out at the bell and instantly rejects, and it looks so heavy over the highs. And we had a range here to 170 to 220, and came up here at market open, broke over the high, instantly rejected. Okay, and of course from there put in place a range, and you can't really trade that. CETX, I was watching next. We're going to get to the best for last. Don't worry, OPAD we're going to come back to and do a full lesson on that. CATX I was watching as well because as you can see, look at this, I'll zoom out some here. It held so well overnight. Let me switch to the 5-minute time frame, and it held so well overnight. And I thought for sure this was going to be a great opportunity today. And so you can see here what I was watching for is we had this nice flat top high sitting here from yesterday afternoon. I'm like, oh, if we can break up over those highs, this thing looks pretty dang good. So I was watching it over 420. All through here, I left it alone. It's sort of odd look through here. And of course, you're stuck up in this range. Risk to reward is not fantastic. You have all these wicks stacked off the highs. Again, just not a great look. And so, again, this never met criteria. The game plan here on the watch list was, look, to break over 420. Never happened. So guess what? No break, no trade. So never got the breakout there. I was watching PAVS, and I have a very small win on this at market open. This thing was tough too, man. And it looked really good. It had a 70,000. Well, okay. Thing. This recently had a 1-for-100 reverse split. So the float here was, I'm talking microscopic float. And so I'm thinking, all right, I think it really gets squeezing hard. If it tries to go, it's going to go. Super beat down daily chart. If this thing's going to go, it's going to go. So I take this out of the bell at market open. We can see we have these higher lows stacked up into the open. Of course, we have this lower high stacked overhead. Price pulls back at the bell, and I take it down here. At least I'm trying to. I didn't get a great fill. I got filled up here at 180 or 285, and or 284. 284 was filled. And of course, risking off the bottom of this last candle to see if I couldn't get that flip back up through the highs here to maybe get squeezing on the break of the wedge into a halt. That was the game plan here. Again, this had the look, it had the volume, it had the price action, had the flow. Like, it just looks so good. It just looks so good. And so I didn't get that, obviously. What happens here is, per my strategy that we always talk about in the boot camp and in trading every morning, is anytime we have a situation where price breaks to a new high that instantly rejects, I'm taking a full exit every single day of the week. That is my exit strategy. It's what I stick to in every single trade. If this happens, I cut it every single time. And what you can see here is after market open, we had this high followed by this lower high. And what happens on this candle here is after I take my pullback entry, this candle flips up to the high, tries to break this last candle's high, and instantly rejects. That's my full exit. Every single day of the week, I do not care if it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Even if the market's closed, if this happens, I'm taking an exit. I'm telling you, every single day of the week, if this happens, I'm cutting it. I don't care what else is going to happen. I'm cutting it. Because 9 times out of 10, it's about to fade lower real quick. And so here it does just that. It tries to break over the high here. It doesn't, and so I take a full exit. Okay, is what it is. Very small win, but better than red. And I know a lot of people overstayed their welcome on this today, and they ignored that red flag, and it happened very quickly. But it's one of those things you have to be really watching price action for these things. And of course, if you took a loss on this, hey, it is what it is. It happened quickly. This is just my system that I use. and it can be quite quick. You know, something invalidates, it can be quite quick. If you took a loss on this, hey, it is what it is. Manage the risk, move on to the next trade. And so this is where we move on to AMIX. This never met criteria either today. Was watching this out of the open overview app. Of course, this broke down, never got overview app. You can see the game plan here from pre-market. Overview app, never happens, no break, no trade. But let's move on to the best one here, OPAD. Now, play this extremely well. This was from last night's watch list too, and this thing gets going back in pre-market this morning, and it's just looking good. Now, of course, this is up because of the $200 billion mortgage bond investment news from Trump overnight. Of course, Open Door gets squeezing, OPAD gets squeezing his sympathy off of OPEN. But the real difference is OPEN has an 800 plus million share float, and so it trades 10 times worse than OPAD. It's harder to get reads on, and the fact is, it's like you a baseball player and a soccer player. Somebody that primarily trades these larger float stocks, these mid-cap stocks, large-cap stocks, you know, they're used to seeing price action trade in that way. And so they're going to execute far better than somebody that's used to trading, these micro float stocks like me. You know, and so whenever I'm looking here on an OPAD, for example, which has a 20 million share float, right? World of a difference. You figure 800 million versus 20 million. Night and day price action difference. So obviously I'm going to focus on OPAD, which I did at market open, and it traded 10 million times better than OPEN did at market open. And so we put in place this flat top high here from pre-market, just like this here. We have this, again, high followed by the line lower highs. So pretty much flat top break. And so what do we have happen here? Price breaks out at market open over that past high from pre-market. And of course, from there, it's overextended. I'm watching for pullbacks. Well, I'm able to get the first pullback there off the second candle after the, or no, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candle, fifth candle after the bell. Or second candle after the breakout, though. And so this pulls back, and you can see here, as it's pulling back, I'm wanting to use this past high of day as my risk, right? And so I nail an entry here. You can see it pulls back. I nail an entry at 248. Stop loss goes down here at the high of day off 240. And so I'm risking, roughly 5-6 cents risk, right? It's from the high of day at 242 back to the entry around 248. And so I take the pullback entry, stops in place, and I get a nice move here. Now, this candle starts to pop back to the highs here, and you can see I get some trims back at around 253 as this candle begins to curl, but then it pulls back one more time. Trend still maintains. It just pulls back and retests this high of day, as you can see. And so as it pulls back to retest that high of day, I actually added some back, 247, right? Because I got some trims up into the highs here, so I was able to add these pullbacks. And then I get ripping up here to the new highs, right? I'm able to get trimmed underneath this high of day. It rips higher up into this past area of resistance on the daily time frame. And so, going into today, I knew the range to 280 and 330. Based on the pre-market watch list. And so as we start to near these 265 levels, we don't have as much range anymore. I'm cognizant of the lack of range, and so I'm able to take a full profit here. When do I do that? Well, guess what? My exit strategy once again. And so what you see here is we have lower high, lower high, lower high, break to a new high and instantly fails to do so. Again, look at this. What happened here? Full exit. Every single day of the week. Like I said, any day that ends in Y, I'm cutting it just like that. Now, what I know here is after this first move, we have these big wicks off the low. This becomes an area of demand, right? Because buyers were clearly interested in price at these levels, right? Clearly. I mean, clear as day. It doesn't get clearer. And so able to pull on back, and I take a re-entry. Because look what happens here. This candle pulls back. This candle comes back down to tap this low, and instantly gets bought back up, puts in a big hammer candle off the low. And so with that, able to take a re-entry here. Stop loss goes at the bottom of this candle again for the range back up into the previous high of day. And so again, I get that pretty nicely. Now, the only problem I had here was we had the 90 MA above price at 250. So I was looking for ads over 250. And so I get trims up into 250. And then as you can see, we get the break of the 90 MA. And then as you can see, I'm able to add back here. You can sort of see where I added back there around 252. Yeah, so able to do that. Of course, by that point, I had my stop loss raised to the bottom of this 1 minute candle as well. For that room back up into the pre-market or the opening high, which we got to move here back to about 260. So very happy with that as well, and took full profit as we neared this past area of supply from the previous high of day. So again, super happy with that. Now I try to get aggressive on this entry here. I thought for sure this thing was going to get squeezing, and so I take it off the top of its range here, take a very small loss. It is what it is, and then I try to take another pullback out of this past area of demand. And I get a very small win. So on these two trades, I'm pretty much flat on. They negated each other. But, did perfectly here on the trade. So very, very happy with this. Well, I guess you could say two trades because we have the ads. And we have 1 and 2. Trades 1 and 2. Okay, I'm happy with that. So apart from that, though, I take a little bit of a lotto play. And you're going to look at this and say, what the heck? But I actually really liked it. And the only reason why I took a lotto on this was I just feel like it had the look to go. Volume was nice. You had the break at the previous high of day, and I'm watching to see if this couldn't pivot over the highs here. Because you're basing off of basing off the pulled back and found a buyer off the 90 MA, and so I'm thinking this looks pretty good for a squeeze up higher. You know, I didn't get it, but in time, look at how many shares I took on this. I took 500 shares. So I took 500 shares. Again, literally just lotto size, lunch money size. It is what it is. I didn't really care what happened here. If it went, it went. Cool. I have some fun. Worst case, it didn't. And, you know, it did. So overall today, though, OPAD was the breadwinner of the morning with a meme stock hype back in the markets on that mortgage theme. And I hope that we sort of get a consistent theme next week where it's sort of a longer lasting theme. Like I said, it's been a new theme every single day this week. It's hard for buyers to know where to go. That volume is so dispersed, and that's why this week that volume, I feel like the opportunity at market open has been there for the first 20 minutes and then just gone. And that's how it was today as well. So that pretty much sums up the morning. These meme stocks are going crazy. Hopefully you guys had an awesome day today using last night's free stock watch list with OPAD. You would have caught that too. That thing was just crazy today. So much fun to play. Thankfully, we had that today. Otherwise, it would have probably been a no-trade day. So all that said, that is the morning recap. If you learned a thing or two, hit that subscribe button for daily content just like this. And as always, claim your 7-day free trial to trade alongside me in real time every single day and get alerts, education, chat room access, watch list, the journaling app, Momentum AI, and so much more. There's a lot there. So if you lock that in, lock in your spot. I'll see you back on Monday. Have an awesome, blessed, and safe weekend. And I'll see you back next week. Let me know in the comments below how you did today. And I'll see you then.